There comes a time in every person's life when we feel surrounded by difficult situations, by people who appear to be friends but secretly plot against us, by malicious words being spread without mercy, and by that unsettling feeling that something is not right in the environment around us. It is in those moments of anguish and despair that many turn to the Holy Scriptures seeking comfort, protection, and strength to face the adversities that seem to suffocate us day after day. Psalm 55 has been known for centuries as one of the most powerful prayers for dealing with betrayal, gossip, envy, and all kinds of negative energy that try to harm us. Written by King David in a time of great distress, when he himself was being betrayed by close companions and facing unjust persecution, this psalm carries an impressive spiritual force that transcends generations and continues to transform lives to this day. Many people have reported extraordinary experiences after beginning to recite this psalm with faith and devotion. There are stories of individuals who were victims of intrigue in their workplace and saw their enemies mysteriously withdraw or their malicious actions exposed for all to see. Others tell of relationships destroyed by lies and betrayal that were restored when the truth finally came to light. There are also reports from those who felt the weight of negative energies in their homes and, after reciting this psalm regularly, noticed a radical change in the atmosphere, bringing peace and harmony where once there had been only conflict and turmoil. The story behind Psalm 55 is deeply moving. King David, who had already faced giants, lions, and countless battles, found himself confronting perhaps an even greater pain, the betrayal of someone he trusted completely. The words written in this psalm reveal the broken heart of a man who shared his most intimate secrets with someone he considered a true friend, only to discover that this same person was secretly conspiring against him. That is why this psalm resonates so deeply within our hearts when we go through similar situations. When we read the words of this psalm, we can feel David's anguish. If an enemy were insulting me, I could endure it. If a foe were rising against me, I could hide. But it is you, a man like myself, my companion, my close friend. These lines touch the soul of anyone who has ever been stabbed in the back by someone they believed was loyal. The pain of betrayal from those we least expect it from is one of the most devastating experiences a human being can endure. But Psalm 55 is not merely a lament, it is a powerful spiritual weapon. When we recite its words, we are invoking divine protection against all who wish us harm. We are asking for the truth to be revealed, for the masks to fall, and for divine justice to prevail. Many spiritual traditions teach that this psalm has the power to unmask hypocrites, expose gossips in their own lies, and drive away people of bad character from our path. There is a fascinating story about a woman who suffered terribly from malicious rumors spread by envious co-workers. She tried to defend herself, to explain the situation, but the more she spoke, the worse things became. The lies multiplied, and her reputation was being unjustly destroyed. Desperate, she sought spiritual guidance and was advised to recite Psalm 55 every day for 40 days, with unshakable faith. At first, nothing seemed to change. But she persisted in her prayer, pouring out her heart before the divine every morning before going to work. During the last weeks of the 40-day period, something extraordinary happened. The gossipers began contradicting themselves in their own stories, and the truth started to emerge naturally. One of them even made a serious mistake by spreading a lie that was easily proven false, which caused all the other accusations to be questioned. The woman was completely vindicated, and those who had tried to destroy her ended up losing the credibility they had sought to undermine in her. Another striking account comes from a man who discovered a deep betrayal within his closest circle of friends. A group he considered his second family was secretly planning to harm him financially in a joint business venture. His world seemed to collapse when the first signs of betrayal began to appear. Instead of reacting impulsively with anger and revenge, he chose to devote himself to the prayer of Psalm 55. For weeks, he recited the psalm with tears in his eyes, asking for protection and for divine justice to be done. It didn't take long before the very traitors began to turn against each other. The scheme they had planned against him fell apart because they could not maintain the unity needed to execute it. The discord they tried to sow in his life ended up growing among themselves, and the man was spared from a loss that could have completely ruined him. These stories are not coincidences. They demonstrate the real power that lies in sacred words when spoken with true faith. Psalm 55 acts as a spiritual shield around us, creating a barrier of protection against evil energies, negative thoughts directed at us, and treacherous actions. When we pray with this psalm, we connect with a higher force that does not allow injustice to prevail forever. It's important to understand that this prayer does not work like instant magic where we say a few words and everything is immediately solved. True spirituality requires faith, patience, and perseverance. Psalm 55 must be recited with an open heart, sincere intentions, and confidence that the divine hears our pleas. Some people see results in days, others in weeks or months. God's timing is not our timing, but we can be certain that He acts at the exact moment when everything needs to happen. Many spiritual masters recommend reciting Psalm 55 at specific times to enhance its effects. Some traditions suggest praying in the morning, right after waking up, to create protection throughout the day. Others recommend reciting it before sleeping, so that during the night we remain protected from negative spiritual influences. There are also those who advise reading the psalm whenever you feel you are being targeted by gossip, envy, or betrayal, as an immediate response to the spiritual aggression being directed your way. The environment where we pray can also make a difference. A quiet place where we can concentrate without interruptions is ideal. Some people like to light a white candle, symbolizing the divine light that drives away darkness. Others prefer to keep a sacred image nearby, something that strengthens their faith and spiritual connection. There is no single correct way. What truly matters is the sincerity of the heart and the strength of the faith we put into each spoken word. When we face betrayal and gossip, it is natural for feelings of anger, revenge, and hurt to take hold of us. Psalm 55 also helps us deal with these difficult emotions. By surrendering our pain and resentment into divine hands, we find inner peace and prevent bitterness from destroying our own souls. Vengeance belongs to the universe, to divine justice, not to us. Our role is to protect ourselves, to pray, and to trust that everything will be resolved in the best possible way. There is a particularly powerful passage in Psalm 55 that says, "Cast your burden upon the Lord, and He will sustain you." These words are an invitation to stop carrying alone the weight of betrayal and negative energies. Many times, we insist on solving everything by ourselves, seeking revenge, trying to prove our innocence at any cost. But this constant struggle only exhausts us and prevents us from seeing solutions that are beyond our limited understanding. When we entrust our problems to the divine through prayer, we open space for greater forces to work in our favor in ways we could never imagine. There is also an aspect of personal purification when we work with Psalm 55. By reciting it constantly, we are not only protecting ourselves from external negative energies but also cleansing our own energy from resentments, sorrows, and harmful thoughts that may be weighing us down. It is as if the psalm functions as a spiritual bath that renews us inside and out, leaving us lighter and more prepared to receive the blessings that are meant to come our way. Many people combine the recitation of Psalm 55 with other spiritual practices to further strengthen their protection. Some take purifying herbal baths, others use protective crystals such as black tourmaline or obsidian, and some like to smudge their homes with rosemary or rue. All these practices can complement the power of prayer, creating an even stronger spiritual shield against adversity. One important detail that many forget is the need to keep our own energy elevated. There's no use saying powerful prayers if we continue to feed negative thoughts, hold grudges, or engage in gossip. We need to be consistent between what we ask for in prayer and how we live our daily lives. If we want to be free from gossip, we cannot be gossipers. If we desire protection from betrayal, we must be loyal and trustworthy people. The energy we put into the world returns to us. This is a spiritual law that cannot be ignored. Over the years, Psalm 55 has become a true treasure for those seeking spiritual protection. Priests, pastors, religious leaders of various traditions, spiritual counselors, and ordinary people have discovered in the strength of these ancient words a powerful remedy for ills that conventional medicine and psychology cannot always heal. The wounds of betrayal and the poison of gossip deeply hurt our souls, and it is in the spiritual realm that we find true healing. There are countless stories of people who were on the verge of depression due to unjust persecution and who regained their joy through the constant prayer of this psalm. The feeling of being protected by a higher power brings immense comfort to the afflicted heart. Knowing that we are not alone in the battle, that there is a greater force fighting alongside us, gives us the courage to face another day, even when everything seems lost. It is also interesting to note how Psalm 55 works in the field of justice. It is not about human justice, which is often flawed and corrupt, but about divine justice, which sees beyond appearances and knows the true intentions of every heart. How many times do we see wicked people apparently prospering while the righteous suffer? This can make us question whether it's really worth being honest and upright. But divine justice is patient and precise. It may take time, but it always arrives, and when it does, it restores balance perfectly. There is a proverb that says, "Those who sow the wind reap the storm." Those who dedicate their lives to harming others, spreading lies, and betraying will eventually face the consequences of their actions. Psalm 55 accelerates this process, bringing hidden truths to light and ensuring that everyone reaps exactly what they have sown. We don't need to seek revenge. The negative energy that such people emit returns to them multiplied. When we recite Psalm 55, it is important to be clear about our intentions. It is not about wishing harm on anyone, but about asking for protection and justice. There is a great difference between seeking revenge and simply desiring truth and fairness. Our prayer must come from a place of peace, not from feeding hatred. The purer our intention, the more powerful the prayer will be. For those who wish to work deeply with Psalm 55, there is the practice of 40 days of prayer, considered extremely powerful in spiritual tradition. For 40 consecutive days, the person commits to reciting the full psalm, preferably at the same time each day. This period represents a cycle of spiritual renewal and transformation. Many report that, in the first few days, it may even seem as if things get worse, as if the problems are intensifying. But this is part of the spiritual cleansing process, where everything hidden comes to the surface to be definitively resolved. During these 40 days, it is recommended that the person keeps their energy as high as possible, avoiding unnecessary arguments, staying away from negative people and environments, eating well and taking care of body and mind. It is a period of spiritual dedication that requires discipline and commitment, but the results are often truly transformative. Many also combine the prayer of Psalm 55 with specific fasts, acts of charity, or other spiritual practices that strengthen their connection with the divine. Each religious tradition has its own nuances, but what truly matters is having genuine faith and a sincere heart seeking protection and justice. The power of Psalm 55 is not limited to personal matters. Many people also use it to protect their homes, businesses, and families. There are reports of entrepreneurs who were suffering sabotage from envious competitors and saw their businesses prosper after they began reciting this psalm regularly in their workplaces. Families who lived in constant conflict due to outside interference found peace and unity after praying together with this psalm. The beauty of this prayer is that it is universal. It serves everyone regardless of their specific religion. Catholics, evangelicals, spiritualists, practitioners of Umbanda, and people of various faiths recognize the power of this psalm. What matters is not the religious label we carry, but the faith in our hearts when we turn to the divine seeking help and protection. In today's world, where social media has amplified the speed at which gossip and lies spread, Psalm 55 has become even more relevant. How many reputations are destroyed in minutes by false accusations that go viral? How many people suffer from cyberbullying and online defamation campaigns? For these modern situations, this ancient prayer remains a refuge and a powerful weapon of spiritual defense. As we conclude this reflection on the power of Psalm 55, it is important to remember that faith is the fuel that moves mountains. Without faith, words are merely empty sounds. But with true faith, even a whispered prayer can move heavenly forces in our favor. May everyone who faces betrayal, gossip, and negative energies find in this sacred psalm the protection, comfort, and justice they seek. And may we always remember that, no matter how dark the night may be, the dawn always comes for those who keep the flame of hope burning in their hearts.